Hello, it is 9 p.m. in RTD. It's time to English New Edition. For tonight headlines, we have President Gele participate in the ATMIS summit in Kampala. For the international scene, information and awareness sessions on health professions for terminal students. For the international scene, computer coding talks to children in Kenya. Welcome to our newsroom. The President of the Republic, His Excellency Ismail Omar Gelle, took part in the morning, this morning in Kampala, capital of Uganda, in the summit of the head of state and government of the African transitional missions in Somalia, ATMIS, contributing countries. The main topics on the agenda of the ATMIS summit are assessing the level of support that ATMIS is providing to Somalia. The objective is to enable the Somali army to take over by the end of 2024. The implementation is of the gradual withdrawal of the ATMIS force, the first 2,000 troops of which will leave the countries in June 2023. To be replaced by the Somali armed forces. The latter will take the lead in ensuring security and maintaining a lasting peace in their countries. The role of developing an inventory of critical issues arising from this decision, including the questions of the practical modalities and implementation process for the announcement. For the announced withdrawal of ATMIS will be at the head of the discussions of the head of state and government of ATMIS contributing countries. It should be noted that the ATMIS countries want the reductions of their personnel on the ground to be indexed on the principles of a downward review of the file of actions, intervention, and security under their respective control. With a strength of nearly 1,700 soldiers distributed within the African Union Transitional Force ATMIS, the Djibouti Armed Forces are deployed in the largest regions of the countries to maintain security and establish a lasting peace. More than partners and a neighbor, the Republic of Djibouti is an indispensable ally for Somalia. Indeed, the two countries share age-old ties forged by histories, culture, languages, and geographical proximity. The President of the Republic, His Excellency Ismail Omar Gelle, has never ceased to provide considerable support to establish lasting peace in Somalia and to fight the terrorist group Al-Shabaab with a view to establishing the rule of law through the territory of this brotherly country, Somalia. This summit comes at a crucial time for Somalia. According to the members country of ATMIS forces, the strength of Somali armies is strong enough to take the security of their countries in hand. On the sidelines of the summit of contributing countries to the African Transitional Mission, the President of the Republic, His Excellency Ismail Omar Gelle, received at his residence the special representative to Somalia and head of the African Union Transitional Missions, Mr. Mohammed El-Amin Swef. During the meeting between the head of state and the representative, several topics were discussed. The importance of the summit dedicated to the evaluations of the level of support that ATMIS provides to Somalia, evaluations of the actions and achievement of the ATMIS member forces in peacekeeping, the issue of the practical questions relating to the practical modalities and implementations in view of the withdrawal announced by ATMIS by the next year, 2024. The discussions then moved on the current situations in Somalia and efforts undertaken by the Somali Armed Forces and the studies of the efforts undertaken by the Somali Armed Forces, the state of progress of the fight engaged on several fronts by these brotherly countries in order to restore its full and complete authorities. To restore its full authorities over its entire territory to fight terrorism, territory and combat terrorism. The Minister of Foreign Affairs and International Cooperation, Mahmoud Ali Yusuf, and the Ambassador of the Republic of Djibouti to the Republic of Kenya, Yassin Almi Bouha, the Ambassador of the Republic of Djibouti to the Democratic and Federal Republic of Ethiopia, permanent representative of our country to African Union, Abdi Mahmoud Abe took part in this audience. For his part, the representative of the ATMIS said that has mentioned it that made a statement to the press. I had the honor of being received by the President of the Republic, a leader notorious leaders in Africa, for his valuable contribution to peace and stability, he said. And in the Horn of Africa, said Mr. El-Amin Suad, I took advantage of this audience to exchange with him on the topics on the agenda of this summit in Kampala. He continued praising the unceasing commitment of the President and the people of Djibouti to the stabilization and pacification of Somalia. He said, and now we have the speeches by the ambassador of Djibouti to the United Nations. He said, I would like to begin by thanking our distinguished rapporteurs, Secretary General Antonio Guterres, representative of the Secretary General Volker Perthes, Assistant Secretary General Joyce Misuka, and permanent observers of the AU, Fatima Khiari Mohammed. Listen for more detail.
I have the honor to make this statement on behalf of the IGAD ambassadors here in New York.
J'ai l'honneur de faire cette déclaration au nom des ambassadeurs de l'IGAD.
I have the honor to make this statement on behalf of the IGAD ambassadors here in New York. In light of the current developments in Sudan, the group of ambassadors of the Intergovernmental Authority on Development member states in New York would like to state the following. The group notes with concern the ongoing conflict in Sudan that has led to civilian casualties and destruction of property, and urge the leaders of the parties to heed to the call to immediately and unconditionally cease hostilities and de-escalate tensions, and give peace a chance in line with the outcome of the 40th Extraordinary Assembly of IGAD Heads of State and Government, which took place virtually on Sunday, April the 16th, 2023. It also recalls the communique of the Peace and Security Council of the African Union at its 149th meeting held on April 16, 2023, on briefing on the situation in Sudan. The group emphasizes the African Union's position on the current situation in Sudan, on the need for the parties to swiftly embrace a peaceful solution and inclusive dialogue to resolve their differences as a means to promoting stability and respecting the wishes of the people of Sudan for restoration of democracy, constitutionalism, rule of law and freedom, as well as rejection of any external interference in Sudan domestic affairs. The group calls on all actors and partners to rally behind the regional mediation effort and extend maximum support to facilitate the visit to Khartoum of the three heads of state, President Ismail Omar Guelleh of Djibouti, President William Ruto of Kenya, and President Salva Kiir of South Sudan, who are ready to jumpstart talks between the parties as soon as security conditions permit. The group welcomes the announcement of a three-day humanitarian truce in response to the UN Secretary General plea on the occasion of Eid al-Fitr. It equally welcomes the U.S. brokered 72 hours nationwide ceasefire that started yesterday at midnight to allow for unfettered humanitarian access to the civilian population. We hope the parties will abide by the ceasefire and will work in good faith with mediators to negotiate and conclude a permanent ceasefire as soon as possible.
Prime Minister Abdulkader Kamil Mohammed has received the official guest of the Djibouti Book Fair led by the Minister of Youth and Culture, Hibo Momin Asowi, and his counterpart of Information Cultures and Information of Somalia, Mr. Dawood Awes Jama'a, were introduced to to follow up a ceremony dedicated to the national celebrations of the World Book Day, which took place at the National Library, an event marked essentially by the organizations of Salon du Livre de Djibouti, which advocates the promotions of reading that has allowed the exhibitions of moreover a stand dedicated to the local creation, so much in craft product that tourists. This meeting was held in the presence of the head of the cabinet, Mr. Ali Silay, and the ambassador of Somalia, and Afar and Arabic books, teachers, and literature and authors recognized, reflected in our regions. The exchange generally focused on the ethnology and the linguistic singularity of our mother tongue, as well as on the equipment of the National Library, the conventions and partnership, as well as the various recommendations. The President of the National Assembly, Dileita Mohamed Dileita, received in audience this Thursday, April 27, 2023, in the Lounge of Honors of the mystical delegations of the management of the National Institute of Statistics, the first Vice President of the National Assembly, Safiya Almi Jibril, Second Vice President, the Parliament, the Honorable Omar Ahmed Ouais, and the Secretary General Ismail Gulal Boudin, and the Director of Cabinet of the President Idris Mohamed Ahmed took part in this meeting, led by Mr. Ibrahim Abdi Hadi, Director of INSTAD. The mission was composed of Mr. Barkhadli Abdullahi Miguel, Deputy Director General of the INSTAD, and Mr. Ahmed Abdullahi Osman, Head of Communications of the Census, and Mr. Isa Kamil Yusuf, Cartographer of INSTAD. After the usual greetings, the Director of INSTAD thanked the President of the National Assembly for his election as Head of the National Assembly. The Minister of Higher Education and Research, in collaboration with the Minister of Education, the Institut Supérieur des Sciences de Santé, Djibouti organized this morning a day of awareness of health professions in favor of students in the senior classes. This awareness raising ceremony was attended by the Minister of Higher Education and Research, Dr. Nabil Mohamed Ahmed, the Minister of National Education, Vocational Training, Mustafa Mohamed Mahmoud, the Director of the ESSS, Ms. Nadira Abdallah Yahya, and the executive of the two ministries. The objective through this awareness is to remind students of the terminal, the courses that the Higher Institute of Health Science Djibouti offers during higher education. The mission of the ISSS is to continue to provide the country's health structures with qualified professionals who are able to meet the development need of the national health system. For his part, the Minister of National Education and Vocational Training, Mustafa Mohamed Mahmoud, congratulated the excellent collaboration of the two ministries, which is being strengthened in all areas. The Minister of Higher Education and Research, Dr. Nabil Mohamed Ahmed, was pleased to have participate in this important awareness day. The objective through this awareness is to remind the students of the terminal the course that the Higher Institute of Health Sciences of Djibouti offers during higher education. Within the framework of the implementation of the Integrated Water Resources Management Project, jointly financed by IFAD and the Government of Djibouti, the Minister of Agriculture and ADDS proceeded this Thursday, April 27, 2023, the signing of partnership agreement. The signing ceremony of the said agreement has run in the premises of the Ministry of Agriculture, the Minister of His Excellency Mohamed Ahmed Awali, the Secretary General of the Ministry Ibrahim Almi, as well as the Coordinator of the PGIR Ibrahim Mohammed, and the Director General of the ADDS Mr. Mahdi Mohammed Jama. The signing of this agreement is in line with the visions of the head of state and government of His Excellency Ismail Omar Guelleh, who is constantly accompanying and encouraging practices in favor of the development of vulnerable rural communities through the empowerment of the latter economically in several programs initiated by the Ministry of Agriculture with the program development partners, including that of the Integrated Water Resources Management Program, PGIR. For his part, the Minister of Agriculture, Mohamed Ahmed Awad, said that this agreement for an amount of 139 million Djibouti francs between the PGIR and the ADDS is of paramount importance in the promotions of the basis of entrepreneurship, management and operations of EGAs and community organizations in cooperative. Thus, the rural EGAs will benefit about 800 households with the entrepreneurship project, and therefore 4,000 800 people in total for a number of 14 IGS in 2020 localities benefiting from project, namely Tajora 6 localities, Obok 5 localities, and Dikhil 11 localities. The Minister of Decentralization received this morning a strong Chinese delegation composed of the mayor of the city of Yangzhou, Mr. Chen Ailen, who is on a working visit to Djibouti. The Minister of Decentralization and the mayor of the city discussed ways and means of strengthening relations between the two countries, ways to strengthen relations between the two cities in the various areas. The two sides also discussed on the decentralization cooperation on how to set up a good cooperation in this area, decentralization between Djibouti and Yangzhou. The mayor of the city of Djibouti, Mr. Saeed Daoud Mohammed, received this morning at the Djibouti City Hall a strong Chinese delegation that is making a working visit to Djibouti. The Chinese delegation is composed of the mayor of the city of Yangzhou, Mr. Chen Ailen. The Chinese delegation was warmly welcomed on arrival by the mayor of the city, Saeed Daoud Mohammed, in the presence of the Minister of Decentralization and the officials of the city, all of our country. Following the warm welcome, a working meeting was held at the meeting room of the city, and where officials' speech were made or taking the floor. The Ministers of Decentralization, Qasim Haroun Ali, welcomed the mayor of the city of Yangzhou and his delegation and expressed his satisfaction to see the city of Djibouti twined with the city of Yangzhou. Speaking in turn, the mayor of the city of Djibouti, in addition to the warm welcome to his counterpart and his delegation, the mayor thanked the personalities who worked for the success of this twining. Among others, His Excellency the Ambassador of the Republic of Djibouti in China, Mr. Abdallah Abdullahi Miguel, and His Excellency the Ambassador of the People's Republic of China, Mr. Hu Bin.
北方的係咩事夢？
Started on Tuesday, March 24, the seminar to launch the international research network of the Great Green Wall, and the rest of the afternoons at Kempinski Palace Hotel under the auspices of the Ministry of Higher Education and Research. This seminar brought together for 2 days the key player in the implementations of the project, of including an audience of 150 researchers from 7 countries out of the 11 countries concerned by the Great Green Wall. The objective of this seminar is to associate research and involve research in this noble African initiative of the Great Green Wall in order to fill the gaps in data climate. This seminar has allowed the scientific community to appoint Mr. Umaru Malam Isa, coordinator of the International Research Network of the Great Green Wall. And after 2 days of intense consultation between stakeholders and representative of research, GMA read the declarations that was adopted during this seminar. Dr. Abdurrahman Daher, director of the Institute of Life Sciences of Cell, has testified in an interview that Djibouti is honored to host the launch of the International Research Network of the Great Green Wall. Today, Thursday, April 27, the National Agency for Persons with Disability, ANPH, held a signing ceremony of partnership agreement between the National Human Rights Commission and ANPH. The event took place in the meeting room of the ANPH in Haramus. The agreement is an important step toward improving the rights and welfare of people with disability in the countries. The partnership between the two organizations will facilitate joint effort to promote and protect the right of people with disability, ensuring their equal participation in all aspects of society. The National Human Rights Commission is a well-known organization that has been instrumental in the promotion and protection of human rights in the country. The signing ceremony was presided over by the Director General of the ANPH, Mr. Douali Saeed Mahmoud, the President of the CNDH, Mr. Ali Subani Atay, and the representative of the both organizations, as well as stakeholders and people from the disability community. Zambia hosts on its territory the African Athletics Championship of U18 and U20 category from April 29 to May 3, 2023. The young Djiboutian athletes in training at the National School of Sports Studies of Ali Sabih participate through the qualifications of 3 of these young people from the same centers of excellence of Ali Sabih, as is customary during major international or continental sport organization. The Secretary of State in charge of sports has provided all the necessary means to facilitate the participation of athletes in this championship of young African talent. The participating Djiboutian are Mokhtar Idris Samriye, who will participate in the 1,500 meter U18, Waberi Igi Hussein, who will also participate in the 1,500 meters U18, and Fathi Musa Roble, who will participate in the 400 meter U18. We wish them a good luck in their respective discipline. Tuesday morning continued the book fair as part of the World Book Day organized in Djibouti and launched a day earlier under the patronage of the President of the Republic, Ismail Omar Guelleh, after a storytelling workshop for several dozen young people as part of the DEGRA project of the UNFD, in the second conference dedicated to the book and its founding values. Participating in this second conference of the program, in addition to the Minister of Youth, Dr. Hibo Mumin Asowe, and the Somali Minister of Culture, Dawood Awes, and the eminent writers and Professor Saeed Saleh, resident in the USA, the writers and diplomat Mr. Ahmed Araita Ali, the prolific writer Dr. Shehem Wata, and the teacher researcher of the University Amina and Musa Suleiman, especially the illustrious moderator Dr. Fatuma Mahamoud, and the executive of the MGC, as well as several officials, guests, and 10 of young university students. The authors panelists have in turn explained the importance of the book and the messages it carries in terms of knowledge, awareness of social issues, escape transmission, and perpetuation of social, cultural, linguistic heritage, in short, of peaceful coexistence and rapprochement of peoples in a world plagued by conflictual tensions. For the international scene, Sudan, the World Health Organization warning Sudanese army and ISDF paramilitary clashes in deadly fighting despite 72 hours truce officially agreed to be by both sides. The capital of the country is largely deserted. The remaining inhabitants are hiding and taking advantage of the lure to look for the most essential product that they can still find. For its part, the World Health Organization is particularly concerned about the takeover by one of the belligerents of a public laboratory where contagious pathogens, highly contagious pathogens, were stored. Tedros Adhanom Ghebreyesus, WHO Director General, in addition to the number of the deaths and injuries caused by the conflict itself, who expect that will be many more deaths from epidemics, of the lack of access to food and water, and disruptions of essential health services, including immunization. The United Nations estimate that the conflict in Sudan has resulted in at least 500 deaths, more than 4,000 people injured, and could lead to a massive refugee exodus in the region. And to close up this edition, Kenya computer coding talks to children in Kenya, teaching computer sciences to young children is progressively taking an important place in the countries that is becoming one of the Africa's technology leaders, an initiative that teaches coding and the concept of robotic to children, called with the kids, has emerged. The program started in 2015 by a computer developer, has equipped nearly 2,000 children with technology skills since its inception. Most children's programs in Nairobi cost about 5,000 Kenya or about $15. This is far too expensive for parents in Kibera. We could, with kids, offer the same programs to the children in Kibera at the affordable price of 15 Kenya shilling per session. Parents can pay the 15 Kenya shilling without it being a burden, and the children can learn, said Dennis Owino, founders of the Code with Kids. This is it for the news. Thanks for watching us. Have a good evening.